Welcome to Twice Half That. I'm Anthony.
I'm at Attack Turk. That was a real guy. You should look him up. He's cool and not cool at the same time.
I mean, that could be said about a lot of historical figures.
Nah, Vlad the Impaler he's a pretty stand-up dude all around. Unless you were Turk.
He did not like
No.
Turks.
And to be honest, he kind of didn't like the Christian leaders either. They kept screwing him over. Well, when you're a buffer state, you're kind of going to get screwed over all of the time.
That's essentially
all
what
of the
happens
time.
throughout history.
Especially in the Holy Roman Empire, if you're that buffer state, you're screwed. It's like, hey, how about I join you? And they're like, hey, no, stay there. Shut up. In fact, here goes some money. Raise an army. Go fight them. And that's how a lot of shit happened. And a lot of dudes would be like, yeah, I'll go on a crusade. Give me some money. Oh, look, we walked 20 feet. I don't see nobody. Let's go. So,
Yep.
well, we're still in our country. God damn it. All right, come on. Whoop. Jump country. We're in another country. Hey, look at that. I don't see no Muslims. Well, we're still in a Christian. Shut up.
I don't see no Muslims.
All right. And then they went back home. And then the Muslims were all like, I'm going to do the same thing. That's a good idea. And then that happened a lot. And then it was finally like, all right, actual human politics gets in the way. And then now we're really fighting. And then it's all like, oh shit, hey Muslims, I need your help. Come here real quick. And it's all,
Yep.
what was that, Christian? Hey, come here. So I'm like, all right, you give me some money? Yeah, I'll give you some money. All right, come on, let's go. And then they fought. And there was literally Muslims fighting with Christians against Christians. And then at other times, there was Christians fighting with Muslims against Muslims. And then they were all like, let's switch. Yeah, humans we don't care about anything other than power.
Yeah.
Power's the only thing. I will make up stories galore to keep you distracted so I could keep power. No, you can't have my power. Get out of here. These are my resources.
Yeah.
Shut up. Hey, friend. Oh, I got backstabbed. Damn it. Now I'm dead. Like, ancient history is fantastic because it is dramatic as fug. I didn't cuss. Trying to work on it again. But
It's a massive work in progress.
Look at Cleopatra. Her stories, it's even greater than what was put on to film. You're literally like, dude, this chick is bad. She literally almost turned nothing into something. She almost became a Roman empress, but then stuff happened.
Yeah.
And she died. But she got to die a cool way. I'm not sure if she negotiated her own way or they were just like, all right, whatever, like you go out, you won't.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of cool stuff in history, like conscripting and making people fight for their country even though they don't want to, which is a topic we're going to get into only, a nicer way because we can't do draconian shisa anymore. So you gotta be nice.
You can, but it's not very successful.
No, I mean, you look at the Iraqi army.
Yeah.
After, I would too when you see 20 mile long convoy trying to escape and the U.S. is all like, no, you're not going anywhere. And then we literally just decimate that whole highway. And then look into, there's YouTube channels that go into pretty good depth, almost battalion by battalion, each step into the first Gulf War. And Schwarzkopf, that guy was fantastic. Russia's lucky that they're not dealing with anybody of his equivalent in, the Ukraine, because you would be decimated. Damn, it sucks he's dead. Colin Powell's dead.
There's so many people.
There's so many, decent people.
Yeah.
And he was one that for the longest time was telling Congress, hey, I don't need more money specifically to the military. I need it put into education. Warfare is getting far more complicated. The tools being used are far more difficult than what they used to. They're not that user-friendly.
It's not as point and click as it once was.
Yes, and shit, and even in order to make it point and click, it's quite difficult to get there. You can't have dumb soldiers. That hurts, on the field. McNamara ran that experiment, and it shows to not work. It's really bad. Ask the Russians. When you have dumb troops, it hurts the overall morale, and
because some of your troops are dumb doesn't mean all of them are.
Yes, but it does complicate.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Shit.
Like that goes to the morale aspect.
Yeah.
It's because not all of them are stupid, and they're sitting there having to deal with the repercussions of the stupid ones.
And and stupid is a relative term. They're inexperienced. They don't know. They weren't trained.
Untrained.
They don't know what to do.
They don't know the basic
arises.
aspects of it.
And then they get punished for not knowing that, and that has happened a lot in militaries, and it's proven, like in the wars right before World War I, you had a lot of conscripted guys against a lot of professional soldiers, and that is a big difference. Just look at the BEF, the British Expeditionary Force. They were bad.
Yeah.
They were professional soldiers who would fuck you up. The Germans are reported in World War I were reported to have said when they ran into the British line, they thought they were getting hit by machine gun fire when it was actual bolt action rifle fire.
That's crazy.
10 bullets. Whoa. That sounded awesome, dude.
Damn, you two ain't gonna hear that either.
Man, that sucks. It sounded like Megatron.
It did. It sounded like a fucking Transformer.
It was badass. I hope that was on there. That sounded hella cool.
No, I'm pretty sure that I'll show.
Optimus? Is that you? It totally threw me off what I was saying. But the Lee Enfield only carried like 8 to 10 rounds, so that's pretty badass. And they didn't open fire till I think they got to like 150. No, I think it was more like 100 yards, 100 to 75 yards. Super close.
That's very close when you're talking
really
combat.
Close, and they just started dropping them. I mean, dropping them hardcore. So there's a big difference in people who, and this is the German military, who they were trained, but, these are, conscripted forces compared to,
just look at Leningrad and any Russian
any
battle
Russian, where
of World War II.
They just
because that was conscription, but I mean that was like the worst form of conscription. Like you get a bunch of people who don't want to be there, and then you don't equip them. So it's like, figure it out. And if you run, I'm shooting you.
You're getting shot. That's a hard thing to deal with. And by the time the Soviets started pushing back against the Nazis in Stalingrad, by the end of, or the beginning of 44, don't quote me, I always forget.
I think it's
the dates.
44.
They, the German army was outnumbered by the Soviet army, I think at one point 2-1, and the Germans were putting a beating on the Soviets with less supplies, less men, and far less food and equipment for those men. So again, that goes to show you what a professional 43 what a professional force could do. Yeah, that's right, because by the end they were pushing into into the Rhineland and all that other scheisse, into Poland, and which, let's not forget, the Soviets also invaded Poland. So to say they won World War II is dumb, because it was really everybody, and if you really think about it, it was the United States and Britain. Britain intelligence with, the magnetron 1000, 2000, the radar system, which allowed us to see further. That got better. It allowed us to literally close, the gap in the Atlantic to where we can actually fly anti-sub missions and destroy the U-boats, or literally whittle them down to where they're not as effective.
Yeah, and not as big of a problem.
You can move a lot more material without the threat of losing a lot of material, which the Allies did. And all the Soviets did, to begin the war, was help fight on the side of the Nazis to take over the eastern part of Poland. They also went into Finland and told them, you're gonna do what we say, or we're gonna fuck you up. And Finland, being awesome, super awesome, look them up during World War II. They need a whole little cool series run on them, because they were some badass fucking dudes fighting literally with nothing. Look them up. Look up what they did during World War II, and better yet, look up look up Finland World War II tactics and strategy, and a couple videos should pop up where you see they'll have little squares of the units moving up, and they'll have terrain on the map, so you'll see exactly why.
It's topographic.
Exactly why they attacked the way they did, why they couldn't push in some regions, why they did push in others, why it was just a dumb idea to attack through that corridor and not through that corridor. And there's a lot of things to be learned, and we need to learn them, especially now, because we're coming up on a new period in the first world, where we're not, for the most part, we haven't paid for our vets. We haven't paid for our vets literally since the turn of the new world, World War I. We promised our guys a lot of stuff
and have not delivered.
When they came back from World War I, when they came back, we literally gave them jack shit. They almost rioted in Washington, going to the White House to make sure they got what was promised to them. And they got something. They got a promise that's literally 100 years later, just now starting to see come to fruition. And and
it's marginally even at
you
that.
Can start doing it back then, but to say you did it, that's like me asking my 2-year-old, hey, can you clean that up after she made a mess? And you're gonna get just to shut me up.
Yep.
Yeah. She knows, she's smart enough. Well, she's 3. Shut up. Okay, I'll do it.
Don't even know how old she is.
Well, she's 2, about to be 3.
She's about to be 3.
And they're just going to placate you the same way you did to your parents. Did you clean your room? Yep. Is it clean? Nope. And that's the same shit they do to us.
Yep.
Or you do this. Is your room clean? On a technicality, yes. Is garbage and clothes and dishes with food on it stuffed under the bed, in drawers, in my closet, behind shit? No. Don't look back there.
Yep.
That's essentially what they're doing. And, when you say this, and then there's no real way for us to look into how that specific money is being spent, who's spending it, why they're spending it, how they're spending it, how are we going to know? It's easy for, me to skim off the top. You don't know. We gave them blah, 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 blah. Well, why isn't that? You don't know. Shut up. Economics, nigga, sit your bitch ass down.
Yep.
And that also goes into not educating people, because if you're not educated,
it's every aspect of the budget too. There's so many things where it's just money disappears. It does it into that. Like, if they're giving as much as they should be, you wouldn't have to go 400 miles to go to a fucking VA to go get medical help.
Yeah, that's
at an
ridiculous.
Understaffed, overworked, overpopulated VA, where the people are so just drained that the energy level's not there for them to even give a shit about you.
And the doctors, geez, they are.
He has more experience with it than I do, but I know how these places work. and it's a shame. And all these people, and by people I mean less than people, politicians, that especially Republicans / right, leaning individuals who claim to have, be all country and military and all this, the same people that get voted by the people that say, if you don't stand for the flag, get the fuck out.
Don't kneel.
You're dishonoring all these people. Well, as much as you may feel that, those people that you put into office and you hold in this high regard are actually disrespecting them to a point to where they're not just disrespecting them, they're saying fuck them.
Yeah, you're less than. I deserve the money, or excuse me and my friends deserve that money that you worked for, you put your life on the line for. You, in certain cases, this most recent case, they were giving antidotes to nerve agents to these guys because they anticipated Saddam hitting people with bioweapons, which he wasn't going to do because he knows if he did that, that would legit be the end. He would get so
he already got away with it in the late 80s, early 90s.
On his own people.
Yes.
See, that's the thing. When you do it to your own people, on the world stage, we like to be grandiose and
but if
we're the kid on the yard.
If it's happening behind closed doors and it doesn't actually affect us, we don't care.
Even if it's fucking not even behind closed doors, if I'm not going to see any benefit from it, why am I going to stand up and defend, someone that has nothing to do with me
and nothing to offer me?
And that's literally the case. That's why in Syria we did nothing when Assad was committing genocide. We're doing nothing when the Russians are just bombing indiscriminately. We're doing nothing. They don't care. We're not the world police. We're policing our own interests and trying to, it's just like a mob boss. We're trying to keep wars at a minimum because you can make money off of war, but sometimes it's not that much. You got these pesky ass journalists that like to pipe up and run their mouth. You got a bunch of shit that happens, organically that we don't like. If I'm not making it happen, I don't want it to happen. If I can't keep my hands in or get my hands in it, make money off of it, I don't want shit to happen. And a lot of people, the thing that irritates me, I don't like imperialism either, but unfortunately, non-imperialism has never been the name of the game. Look in a history book.
It's impossible to last as an entity without some form of imperialism.
If you ain't on top, homeboy, you're on bottom.
If you ain't first, you're last.
And the only problem is a lot of these people up top don't get that because they have never really truly been hungry. And anybody who comes up, they try and real quick, Obama style, snatch them up. Hey, I'll hook you up. You hook me up. You bail me out, I'm gonna hook you up in the end. And you can't deny, everyone's always saying, too big to fail. That shit isn't true.
For all you motherfuckers out there that love to talk about capitalism and socialism and how capitalism's great, socialism is terrible, even though you basically call whatever you don't understand or agree with socialism, because a lot of the stuff you claim isn't, or even better, you call it communism, which is a completely different thing.
But see, that again goes back to not.
That goes to education. Absolutely.
Easy to fucking lie to these
absolutely.
People. And even the educated ones, because I know, and this is the problem.
Well, we had an art.
Just because you're proficient in one thing does not mean you're educated or intelligent in all facets of life. That means you are proficient in that one fucking field. That don't mean that you're intelligent. A lawyer that is not indicative of intelligence. That means
you're intelligent in that law, and not all law necessarily. The law that you specialize.
Law that you specialize in, and sometimes they're not
people in the tech world. Just because you have a high-paying job in a tech industry and you invented an app or something doesn't mean you're intelligent in all walks of life. You're intelligent in that.
Not to say that
you can't be.
Yes.
You can't. They're not mutually exclusive. But just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're good at everything.
Well, see, and there's another problem. Apparently, 30 to 50% of people, all people, humans, do not have an internal monologue. So what that tells me is yes.
Dude,
so
I have
are you
one of
telling
those,
me
like,
that you were literally just
it's
off of
a
impulse?
running internal monologue?
Yeah, you're running off of impulse. You're not you.
Holy shit!
Do not harbor the. So like this is. Are there levels of sentience? Is there? I can think before I speak. I can think before I do. When certain situations pop up, I don't just see the situation. I see, kind
the
of
succeeding situations.
I see kind of like the way a particle would move through open space. When there's an obstacle, am I just going to go through it like a wave? Or am I going to hit it, the way we tend to believe it is? You hit a wave, and then when you hit that certain objects, there are many different ways in which there can be different outcomes, and you tend to land on one of them. That's how certain people see the world. All right, I won't do that, because if I do that, these are going to be the consequences. If I do that, all right, that's the least fucking thing that's going to hurt me, not as bad as everything else. That was really good grammar right there. It's the problem when you think faster than you speak, and then you're over there
when his internal monologue
jumping
got all
on
jumbled.
to other shit while you're trying to spit this shit out, and it's like, hey, retard, slow down. But again, going back to conscription, this is why we need to have mandatory military service, so we can put those people to use, because if you can train them, then it makes it a lot easier to put those people into infantry positions where they see certain shit. They could be like, oh shit, relay that back to more intelligent people, obviously your lieutenants, your colonel, anybody up the chain.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run through everything that because I'm trying to speak
and just because they're up the chain doesn't mean that they're more
and that's one thing that all humans need to get rid of, and luckily you in the United States and the United Kingdom, Canada, all the good countries, militarily, you have that. I'm not going to allow pay for advancement. You have that, and this is why am I worried about China as an opponent? Of course, but ultimately, no, not that much, because when you pay your superiors to then become among them, you don't have the intelligence to run
nor the skill level
on the battlefield,
experience any of it.
Battle can be quite confusing. I urge anyone here, watching this, however many watching or listening, consuming this media, go play some paintball and go play it team on team. I'm talking like north of 15 people on your side.
At least 50, yeah.
That means there's 30 on the field, and I can tell you that gets confusing. It gets confusing because you're not all wearing the same gear, but it also gets confusing because when you lose line of sight, you're like, I don't know who's shooting. Where's it coming from? And nobody sits on the line. Now take it to where you're on a line, you all got your weapons, and an actual gun is going off. No ear protection. I have a gun. This guy is, depending on where we are, 6 to 9 feet away from me, firing his gun.
And so on and so forth.
And depending where we are, if you look at some Vietnam footage, I'm as close to this here. This close.
Yeah.
If we're a machine, if there's a machine gun emplacement, there's at least 2 dudes.
And they are about that close. One holding the chain, one firing.
And I'm doing this as he's firing, and then taking out the barrel, putting in ammo. There's a lot of shit that goes on.
And mind you, this isn't happening with just that loud noise and all that stuff going on between you. There's also stuff coming at you.
around you. There's explosions. There's a lot of confusing shit.
There's a lot of noises. I mean,
and people tend to fall back on the training. So that is what helps.
Well, and that's why the training's so important. And you look at that in any facet of life, whether it's athletics, whether it's work. When you get into a high-pressure situation, a high-stress situation, you will just go back on what you're most comfortable with, what you're comfortable doing, what has worked for you in the past. And if you've been trained thoroughly in those situations, you're going to fall back on that, and you will actually have a strong foundation in which to fall back on and be able to act and react.
And where education comes into play here, because you can't have dumb soldiers, like I said. You can utilize not dumb people without an internal monologue who can't really. You don't really want, not to say they can't, but you want people making more complex decisions to have that foresight. They're playing chess, not checkers. And on, in the modern battle space, you have a lot of people with a lot of electronics on them. We're going to be moving to, a scope in which now he can tag a bunch of shit,
and it'll pop up.
And when I look through my scope, I see everything he marked out. That's number one. Watch that window. Someone's definitely going to come through there, and then the rest of you, now you move here. He doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to run up to individuals and show them. He just hop on his mic. Boom. And then going deeper than that, we're now engaged. We're getting effed up. You need to hop on because a bunch of people are wounded. Not the people who normally handle this,
which
can't handle it
quite often.
You have to pick up a map. You have to pick up the radio and call in an airstrike. I think a 500-pound bomb is the smallest we have coming off of any jet.
I believe you're right.
And that thing, you have to tell them where to put it exactly, because if they fuck up, you're dead. It's the same with artillery. You have to know what you're doing.
Have you seen the stripped 500-pound bombs, like where you just see the inside of them? It's just a bunch of explosive.
Yeah, it's a fucking bomb.
Yeah.
And wait till you see a 2,000-pound bomb coming off a B-52, and it's just like, oh, shit.
And they don't drop just one.
Shit. They're dropping, I think they drop 1,000-pounders, but, they have the capacity to hold a lot of 2,000-pound bombs. They can.
Those things are
an area up.
Those things have been around for so long, and they're still viable.
Yeah, you ain't getting rid of it.
Like, for instance, during the Cold War, there was squadrons of B-52s that would literally fly 24/7 with tactical nukes on their wings. There was always one in the air, and it would just sit there and circle.
You better believe they're still flying. They're not gonna stop because the threat from China, the second they got a nuke, don't forget, we went to war with them twice. Korea and Vietnam. Yep. They were there. My father-in-law goes, yeah, I know what Vietnamese writing looks like. I know what Thai writing looks like. I know what Cambodian writing looks like. And I know what Chinese writing, Cantonese or Mandarin. I know what they both look like. And I know what a dead Chinaman looks like. That guy is a dead Chinaman. That guy, same thing. That guy, same thing. He said they didn't really like mixing with the NVA or any of the guerrillas. Why? Because they thought they were superior.
Yeah.
I'm mixing with them mudbloods. That's the way they think. Culturally, I shouldn't say, I'm not saying that they all think that way. Just like, racism still persists in this country. It's going to exist there. We obviously know that because the poor Uyghurs are getting straight, I don't want to say genocided, but
killed at a very high rate.
Your organs are very, 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 very valuable. So, you're no longer alive. I took your organs, and putting them to work, or, culturally re-educating them, not letting their children speak any. We're going to get demonetized because of this. Well, we don't make any money, but they might pull this video because of this. Because YouTube does not like people bringing up the truth about China. I don't know why. They're communist. They are not. Xi Jinping, the president, has literally called us the enemy multiple times. Multiple times. Yet you see everyone in this country bending over backwards for them. Like LeBron, that shit pissed me off. Just keep your mouth shut, bro. Just keep your mouth shut. Don't talk about that shit. I don't care how much money the NBA is making over there. You use the NBA to break down those cultural ties, especially considering the Chinese Communist Party doesn't like black people or black culture. They literally, their top rapper, this homeboy was making bread. And they literally pulled him aside. He just went missing, I think off a tour, for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Bro just disappeared. And they told him, and I think beforehand they told him, you're gonna stop rapping. That shit is not our culture. You're gonna stop it. And he was all like, being a boss, because he's a fucking rapper. He's like, man, suck my motherfucking... Okay, 2 weeks later, yeah, rap is bad. It's bad for the Chinese people. You shouldn't do it. I'm sorry I did it. Okay, bye. Where is he?
Yeah.
Where's homeboy? Where's homeboy at? He did nothing wrong. All he did was rap. Like, and he could only do it to where you would allow him to do it. Now it's not cool. Like, and no, don't bend over for them. They're nobody to bend over for. Not to mention, communists are legit our enemy. Why are we going to be more pissed off at Cuba than we are at China? How many Americans did Cuba kill? How many Americans did China kill? How many Americans did China kill inadvertently because they were selling a bunch of garbage to Americans and to their own people? But still, they were killing all of us because they wanted to be, anybody and everybody because, fuck it, I need to make some money, Suck a motherfucking radiated rock.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the only thing they cared about was American money. They don't like America as a government.
They don't like their own people.
No.
What they do to them is dirty. I can't wait for the Chinese people to stand up and fight them because they didn't ask for that.
No.
During World War II, and this is what pisses me off, when we could have did something, gone in there and helped, Chiang Kai-shek.
Yep.
What are you doing? Get in there. Help them out.
And this would never be. This wouldn't be an issue.
He was trying to help us out.
This wouldn't be an issue today.
No, it wouldn't. It really wouldn't. We would not be dealing with this, nor would we be dealing with. Would we have dealt with, East Germany, that whole fiasco, if if Eisenhower would listen to Patton and drove on the Soviets? No, all they had was manpower. We could have decimated them once we cut off their, supply to. I don't know, fuel, because you don't actually know fuel they had, but we still could have bombed that out of nowhere. We had airfields closer to there. We had manpower. We could have literally turned around, told Italy, get the fuck on it, I'm gonna fuck you up. And then watch Italy be like, okay. And then they go and do it. We really
not to mention
could have put them in their place.
Far superior technologically.
And this is where I do have a problem with the Democrats, because this was stupid ass Truman's fault. Oh, we always need an enemy so we can make money. The military doesn't need to make money. The military can make money. At that point, we had literally the greatest selling point of all time. We bring peace.
Yep.
We bring freedom. Look at what we could have done. Okay, you ain't got bread. You know what you do got? You know what the world does run off of? Resources.
Yep.
What's up, bro? Let's talk. Let's hook some
What are you going to use that money for?
But this is the problem.
Resources.
When you're dealing with closed-minded, racist, and at the time, I'm going to use the term properly, racist, because they did believe that their race was superior to all others. All others. And that means every human on Earth at that point was up. Mine's is better. So, bro, you're literally living on the street. Yeah, my race is still better than yours. And that's how shit went for really my nationality. That race shit started with the Brits and that slavery book that was written by some odd dude. It's easy. Humans are real easy to divide.
Oh yeah.
And make fight. You can see that now because the Chinese are doing it, the Russians are doing it, and the Iranians are doing it. They literally...
Our own government's doing it.
Yeah, they've been doing it for the longest time. Look at literally, the Republicans do it every chance they get. I was actually
having a conversation, might have been yesterday or Saturday, with an Irish dude at work.
No, it was Thursday.
I mean, it might have been. Shit. No, I think it was yesterday, though. But with an Irish dude, and when I say Irish dude, like, he's from Ireland. So an Irishman. And we were talking about just history and stuff.
Was his name Seamus?
No, Trevor.
Oh.
But we were talking about like history and how we've touched on it, how at one period when the Irish came over, they were just the smallest bit above black people, and they recognized it. So they started hanging out, and they were cool with each other. They were all happy and all this stuff. And he was talking about in one of Dickinson's books. He was kind of talking about that, and it was shortly after that, they being the powers in control saw that and went, shit, we can't have that.
Nope, no intermixing. We
can't have that. That's bad for us, and created such a divide between them that they became like hated not rivals, but they hated each other for a very long time. I mean, you go to places that are historically Irish and in this country, like Boston, for instance, and they are, a very large Irish population, and they
are bigoted.
In very recent, like in recent history, as in like since the turn of the 20th century, are very, very, very bigoted. Like, they say some fucked up shit. Like, you go to a Celtics game, they are notorious for saying some fucked up shit to black players on either team.
It's like, you're gonna talk shit about your own player, bro? Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, and there's far worse language than that used. Far more deep cutting language than that. But that just goes to show, like, it is ingrained in like control to have everyone kind of bickering at each other, so you're not paying attention what the fuck's going on over there. So it's nothing new, and a lot of people are realize, oh, this is a thing, but still fall right into it. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen shit people have said or commented or things like that throughout life, and they point to that and say, yeah, they're trying to divide us, and then go and talk shit about this person because they don't agree with them. And it's like, yes, they are trying and succeeding to divide you.
And again, that's where education comes in. If you're not fully educated on just history, that's a big one. You got to let people know that there has always been any and every time there has been a power or a person in power, a group of people in power, they're going to do what's necessary to stay in power. And at a certain point, it becomes, what can I do to manipulate the masses to stay in this power? And the best way to do that is, if you're distracted, and you're dealing with your own shit, I can do what I need to do. And the more, you're put up on that, you have these examples, tucked away in the back of your brain. When they pop up, you can be like, hey, what's going on with that? Oh, whoa, that looks mighty similar to this. And a lot of times that's done because you can go back to certain plays in the playbook.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't been ran in a while.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be new, groundbreaking stuff. If it has been done in a little while and people have kind of forgotten about it, it's a great time to pull that play out.
Vlogging through history. That guy mentioned him, 2 months ago, but go to that guy's channel. He just did a run on Extra Credit Simple History, I believe, and they did a video on the South Sea bubble, and this happened a long time ago. At this point, like 3, maybe 400 years ago. Just to be safe, 200 to 400 years ago this happened. The British government was out of money. They needed somebody to hold their debt. Homeboy literally said, all right, I got you, created a company out of fucking thin air and just had stock for it. Got, the contract to handle the debt and just started selling shares, at a very attractive rate, which, got people buying. Okay, yeah, £10 a share, that's good. All right, a bunch of people bought. All right, I made hell of money. All right, let's now up it. I'm going to do £50 a share, and you know what? Oh no, I think he slowly jumped to 50, just because of how stocks work.
Yeah.
And then he was like, you know what? I'm going to jump the stock up to £100 a share, but what I'm going to do for you is I only need 50% down, and then I'll take payments from you later. So people were like, oh shit, bro. And at this time, South America, so about 400 years ago, South America
it sounds about
had
right.
started booming.
1600s, like the 16th, 17th century.
Towards the end of the 16th, beginning of the 17th, they were making a lot of money just off of resources, off of land, off of food, off of people, and shit was booming. If you had some money to put in the stock, you were making money. So when this came up, people were all like, we can't lose. And it just kept going up and up and up. Bro, this is 17 something. £1,000 a share.
That's nuts.
And all I need is 10% down, bro. 10% down, that's all I need. And it's like, oh, and then obviously you keep putting something into nothing, you ain't getting shit back. Got found out, the whole shit collapsed. Everybody who, just like a pyramid scheme, everybody who got in early, left early, they made bread. Everyone else got scrawed hard.
Damn.
Yup.
The original Ponzi.
Hey, and he was made a baronet, which means, you're a part of the nobility at this point, and he got found out.
Crazy.
Never lost his baronet. The family, Blunt was his name. Family never lost the baronet title. He then moved around
crazy.
Europe and does this shit again multiple times until eventually they're like, all right, sucker, get out of here, bitch. We know about you. But yeah, go look it up. Vlogging Through History does a wave. The two people, person who reviews it does a good job, so go to his channel and watch it. But before you do that, go to the actual people who, made the goddamn content and watch it there, because watching it from them gives you one perspective, and then watching it with his commentary gives it more, because he's a historian, so he's going to throw more on it, and and I think he didn't know about it, and he's a historian, so he could put other context into what's going on and help kind of modernize it for you, because this layman talking about it doesn't do it justice. You should really look it up. And again, I've been saying this a lot, but it leads back into us doing something about the current problem we have, because there's 1.3 million soldiers the United States needs to minimally operate our military.
That's the bare minimum to be able to man every unit, every platoon, every aspect of it.
To keep us safe. And what people need to understand, am I happy with how far and wide spread our projection of power is? Kind of. Because it takes away from, money from us. But in this current, configuration, it really hurts. If we're able to do things to lessen the load on the average American, make sure that, that very, very low marker of 76,000 a year for, not every American, but for the average American, it's a very attainable goal. And if you want to keep insurance, if you want to keep fucking insurance, then god damn it, I don't want it. but if I'm making that money, I begrudgingly will pay it. Just you need to whittle that shit down so I don't have to pay 85 fucking companies for basic bullshit.
Yeah.
They're gonna find reasons not to pay me, even though I have met every goddamn one of their fucking requirements, but still,
and
I cannot get
every
my shit
month for
whatever. That is disrespectful, and I don't want to hear, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there are stories of people who've paid into their medical bills for like or their medical insurance for like 20 years.
Never used it.
Never used it. They get hurt. They literally paid like 18 grand into this shit, and it's all like, hey, I got injured. Can you cover the 8 grand? Oh, yeah, we could only cover like a quarter. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Oh, well, see, you got hurt on the 35th second of the third moon of, I don't know, Endor, so you don't qualify. I'm sorry, bro. So they just make shit up at this point. Look at what happened in Paradise. Oh yeah, we're not going to offer fire insurance for up there anymore.
Yeah.
If I'm governor of California, I'm gonna be like, all right.
Then you have no business in California.
You ain't operating anywhere in California. Pack your shit up and get the fuck out my state. I'm tired of these people taking in money, taking, and then when it comes time to pay, oh, well, I got a million excuses. I don't hear you accepting any of my excuses.
And then on top of that, when you finally do accept the claim, take years to pay out.
Years and years down the line.
But, hey, let me miss a payment by 6 minutes, and you're calling me. You're reporting it to you're reporting it to the credit bureaus. All this shit. But
which then gets sold to our enemy, China. Genius. And this is why you have to put a leash on all businessmen. They are not to be trusted. You don't believe me? Ask the Hawaiians how they lose their country. You don't believe me? Ask any of the Native Americans who made deal after deal after deal, and again.
And what has happened with each of those deals?
And again.
Each and every chance that there is, every opportunity that arises, they break it.
They went back on it so
every
many times.
Opportunity. And oh my God, don't even get me fucking started on the actually, you know what? Do get me started on the fucking one of the more recent occasions of it with the Keystone XL pipeline.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Obama's such a man of the people. You really could have did something about that, but you didn't. You want to know why? Because the people that helped him get into power had interest in that pipeline. So
if I push it along long enough, it won't look like I'm approving it. I haven't done anything yet, and now it falls onto the following.
He allowed them to get. I wish I could have dialogue with him, because I'd been like, there's only really 2 things I want to talk to you about, and he's a constitutional lawyer, so I'd really like to sit down and speak to him about it, because I am a person who truly believes in there is nobody above reproach. This is a goddamn republic. Do you understand what we are modeled after? We are not modeled after the imperial Senate of Rome. We are modeled after the Republic of Rome, which means, homeboy, any one of you, including Donald J. Treacherous Trump, who you guys better go after.
The fact that he tried to flush top secret documents down a toilet.
That should tell you a lot.
That should tell you everything you need to know.
He ain't trying to get rid of shit. If you're gonna do that, you're most likely gonna do it with hopes that either someone could get a hold of it, because look at all his dealings with the Russians. It goes back to when the Iron Curtain was still up and it was illegal to do business with them.
This was all throughout the 80s.
If you would have punished him then, why'd you allow him to go back there? What, was he working for the CIA? How? He's too dumb. Go ask anybody who's
unless
actually
it's all a fucking act in which, holy shit, he's an Oscar.
At this point, it couldn't be an act, because no moron would allow themselves to be put into the situation he repeatedly put himself into. And anybody believing, and I've had this conversation with people who were Trump supporters, and I've had to point out to them, who bankrupts a casino
in Atlantic City. You're not talking about a casino in the middle of nowhere.
He bankrupted an entire industry. Atlantic City still has not recovered from him. What great businessman literally dries up an entire at one point thriving industry? Should be. Reno is, and Reno used to be for the Bay Area. Then everybody started going to Vegas.
Yeah.
And to be honest, been to Vegas. It's all right. I'm not a gambler. I'm not a drinker. I don't like crowds. So Vegas to me, it's cool to visit every once in a while, but
it doesn't offer a hell of a lot.
It doesn't.
Unless you're a serious gambler or a serious drinker, there's really not a ton of draw.
You know what would? On a quick little tangent, I was watching something.
We don't do those here.
We do now. I was watching something on Disney, and one thing that I would like to see is, one, you go back to, the old anti-Semites way of doing shit, where it was a little bit cheaper. Well, let me not be messed up. I don't think he liked black people or Mexicans either. And, oh, God.
No, he didn't.
Dude, hey, let's not forget, Donald Duck is a Nazi.
He did a
promotional film for them.
Loose ties to the Nazi party.
He did a promotional film for them. There is a film out there where Donald Duck,
because he was a supporter of a lot of their beliefs.
Yeah, he was an anti-Semite. He was. I mean, I hate to say it because he brought a lot of joy to my childhood, but
to my child's childhood, it's.
I appreciate what you did as an animator, and I can separate the creator from the man, and the
man is a piece of shit. The creator is ingenious.
And he did a lot of creatively good things, but he was, when it came to the topic of people, he was a piece of shit who believed that somehow Jews were dirty, even though all they did was kind of just keep to themselves
and not eat pork.
Oh yeah. yeah, and then make sure, you didn't die because one of our people invented that and invented that.
Yeah, there were a lot of the early doctors and
that. When you people were all like, man, fuck this shit, let's just rob these people.
Yeah.
Let's just rob them. Let's not forget the whole thing about Jewish people being like dirty money lenders. That came from Christians and Catholics who, at the top didn't want their people going to the Jews because the Jews were all like, I don't have anything, built into my politics or built into my religion that basically says, oh, God said I can't sell any property to you. Sorry, for interest.
Yeah,
so if I can't make money off of it, how am I going to sell it to you? So I'm not going to sell it. That's how they kept people in subservience. And Jews were like, yeah, I'll give you a loan on like a 1 or 2%, 3% interest. It wasn't anything crazy.
No, and
how are they going to make money?
Yeah.
And then it was all like, they're getting more money. And, our people are starting to be like, oh, they're okay. And at a time when it was religion versus religion, not so much country versus country, it was religion versus religion, you can't have that. So I'm going to make up shit about these people.
Yep.
Hey, it's not working. Kill them.
That ties into what we were talking about with the powers that be separating us through fictional and created means,
or just capitalizing off of a catastrophe.
Oh yeah, that's another big one.
Any chaotic event,
yeah,
like they did with George Floyd, calling in we need the National Guard because shit's getting they're rioting. Nobody was rioting, and last time I checked, a lot of people caught officers of the law. I'm not going to call them peace officers because they were legit doing
breaking
false flags,
windows.
breaking
There was one of the big videos I was floating was dude that broke the windows of like an auto parts store.
Yeah, and then when they tried to stop, they did stop him, get him on the floor, and they're all like, man, he's wearing, police boots. His pants are, I'm pretty sure those are slacks that policemen wear, uniformed. So it's all like there are, and I'm not saying that all police do this, but all you need is a couple people.
Yeah.
The FBI
and the entire police force, like for this instance, Minneapolis, large city, for the entire police force, for this to be successful, you only need maybe a half dozen to a dozen officers to do. That's not a lot, because I'm sure, without looking it up, I'm sure their force is probably in like the 1,500 range. So you're talking about a fraction of a percent, but that's all it takes. You could do it with a handful if you do it strategically.
And the FBI literally released the report themselves. PDs, sheriff's offices, highway patrol have all been infiltrated by these white nationalist groups. They're all over. They're doing their own agenda. It's literally been reported on. And you can see it now, their complete hatred for the FBI. Do you see that coming from any other group?
Yes,
they're
I just
mad.
looked at the Minneapolis, police department. It's just over 1,000 employees.
You don't need that many to go and perform that action.
No, not at all.
It doesn't need to come from an order on high. They could just see, and it doesn't take a genius to know, to stop a peaceful protest, you make it turn, it doesn't even need to turn violent. It just has to destroy public property.
It needs to turn destructive.
That's how they were able to quell, Occupy Wall Street, through those old
and those were
tactics.
Situations again where the people that were doing the damage and the destruction.
Well, that time they were paid for. I'm not going to put that on the white nationalists.
No. I'm not talking. I'm just talking about.
I just want to clarify.
It was proven that the people that were doing the destroying and breaking shit and causing all this havoc weren't participants in the Occupy Wall Street movement. They weren't part of the movement at all.
Again, were New York police officers.
Yeah.
See, and that's the problem. First off, New York PD has way too much money.
Oh my God!
First off, at this point,
they get. I want to say
that needs to be broken up a while back. What it actually is,
but I want to say that the NYPD gets more, like their not stipend, but their allotment or whatever is higher than like multiple countries' militaries.
Yeah. And all they do, go look at how Rikers is handled. Go look at, everybody wants to praise Rudy Giuliani. You know how many black and Latin people were fucking stopped for no goddamn reason? You know how many times I was able to hear in, San Francisco, it wasn't so much white people, it was Asians. We'd walk into a store, they'd follow me around hardcore, to the point if he was a thief,
my bag would have been full.
It would have been full. They would have had no.
It would have been the perfect way. Is send him in, follow him behind about 30 seconds, and just.
And it wouldn't even be. And this is the annoying thing. It wouldn't be like, "Do you need help?" It would blatantly. They'd watch me. Yeah, they'd watch me. I'd come in with my hands in my pocket, and they'd look at me the whole time, and it's like, bro, what are you doing? I'm not gonna take anything. You're fine. I'm just,
I'm trying to get in Arizona some hot chips.
Man, and most of the time we'd just be like, all right, whatever, and we'd leave, and then they'd just be like,
yep.
It exists a lot and everywhere. I've seen it with, both. Everybody I've ever known, which is I'm not going to say every ethnicity because that's doing too much, but most
a fair amount.
I've learned, I didn't know that Cambodians and Vietnamese don't like each other. I know a lot of people didn't like Cambodians. Their racist term is cockroach. I was like, what? When I heard that, I was like, what? He goes, don't say that to a Cambodian. Like, they will like, that is legit. That's our N-word. And I was like, hey, ain't gonna say it. I get it. And when you learn these little cultural things about people, you see, it's just humans. We love to hate shite. So much so, that's what Facebook's algorithm is completely set up around.
Oh yeah,
is hate.
How often have you been scrolling through your Facebook feed and you're getting all these posts of shit that you vehemently disagree with?
And it's because you're going to engage with shit that irritates you more than shit you agree
exactly with. Like, it's not just stuff where you're like, oh, that's stupid. It's like, oftentimes it's stuff that just makes you start to boil. You truly despise whatever it is.
Like the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers winning. And more importantly, the Dodgers winning while the Giants are losing. That makes it even harder. But it makes it that much more sweeter when it's reversed and we can be like, ha! But it sucks when you're just sitting there.
Stuck.
Yeah, and you're just staring off in his face. It's like, God damn it. You can't really can't say nothing. You just sit there and be like, I'm gonna ignore you, or I'm gonna punch you. One of the two.
Yeah. I'm either gonna ignore you or the opposite of ignore you.
But it would be cool, and you really should go forward with that that whole gondola system. But do it, going from the city to the stadium, That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, that setup is not a good setup.
It's not. It's an old setup, and
Yeah, it's a setup for. I mean, granted, when they built it,
it was in the early '60s, so
I think it was like '61, no, '62 or '60, something like that. Yeah, it was early '60s. I think is when they started construction. I think it opened in like '64ish, something like that.
I want to say '66.
You might be right. You might be right. But it was built with a lot of seats, and they've done. I hate to say it, they've done a great job renovating to where they don't have to tear down and build a new one.
I like that. A la Homer Simpson.
They're constantly, upgrading it.
Yeah,
which is what
fucking Yankees, you pieces of shit.
The Yankees should have done that.
How the fuck do you allow Yankees? I hate the Yankees. I hate the Dodgers. Those are old stadiums. I don't want no new stadium.
They're historic.
Why do I want a new stadium?
And it's not just, it's old and terrible. It's historic.
History. Dude, now it's all like, okay, well,
it's like,
I don't want to go to, I have no desire now to see any baseball game played in New York. No desire.
Yeah,
I wanted to see a game played where some of the greatest have played, but since you're so fucking short-sighted, you're like, fuck it, we're going to get rid of history. Oh, okay. That's a great idea. How many owners have the Cubs had?
Handful.
How many owners have the Yankees had?
I mean...
4? 3?
One since this... one family since the 70s.
One. You've had one. We've had George, and now we have,
Hal.
Junior. That's what I like to see. I really don't like to see. I forgot about this. I'm forgetting her name. Schott.
Oh,
remember Schott? That
from the Reds.
Ooh,
yeah, she was one racist bitch. Oh my god,
racist.
She said, just here's
she
one
threw
small
the N-word around like it was.
Oh, like it was yep.
Like
and
that.
Here's just one little tidbit that should give you all the information you need. The Reds were the last team in baseball to integrate. She said, I don't give a fuck how good they are. They aren't playing on my team.
Dude, I want to say in the World Series, homie, obviously black, lacerated his liver in the game. Mm-hmm. Couldn't play. She was like, I refuse to pay for his surgery. What? She wouldn't pay the $350 a year for the scores from other games to be put up. That's $350 for the entire year. She didn't want to pay for that. That's fucking crazy. That is crazy, but we're running out of time. I want to touch back on what we were originally supposed to talk about.
And then I got a little something to throw in too.
And that is literally, we're getting to the point to where the military needs to be kept, needs to be sustained. And it's the guy that I was listening to, I forgot his name, but he said, and I understand where he's coming from because he was in the military and they're concerned that, our recruiting numbers are down, and they tend to think that it's,
a disdain for the military.
Yes, it's not a disdain for the military. He said it earlier. It's a disdain for the politicians, in this most recent voting, history. It's been the Republicans voting against our vets.
And that's not to say that the Democrats don't either.
No, that's why I'm saying, in this recent.
And beyond that, there's that aspect of it. And we don't take care of our soldiers. We don't pay them shit. They're getting paid minimum wage at best to go to go put their lives on the line. We claim to give them health care, but when they get back, you got to travel a small fucking trek to get to a fucking hospital and hope that they can take care of you.
Hope it's a good one, yes.
Yeah, and then they may send you another one, which is even for it's just.
Shout out to Palo Alto VA, partnering with Stanford. They literally, my father.
And shout out to Stanford for taking that step.
Yeah, they spent north of $5, and I do understand it cost a lot of money. All I'm asking for is not all vets. Not all vets, don't take this to heart, are built the same. A combat vet is going to experience shit no other vet is. Trust me.
Yeah, combat vet versus someone working in logistics back home, you're not going to deal with the same thing.
10% are going to go to the theater, 1% is going to fight it. That includes air, land, and sea. And when it comes to current warfare, it's land. Very rarely do we see, our flyboys shot down because,
and
luckily
it does happen, but
they train. Yeah, it does happen. I'm not going to take away from the enemy. They are no slouch. The Taliban, they were no punks. A lot of people, well, how can, experience is a lot. When you've been killing people and fighting motherfuckers all over the world.
That's part of that, and that's why it got compared to, but it's just like in Vietnam. The NVA were fighting for a decade before we got there.
Oh, they were fighting for 20, 30, 40 years before. And again, another problem that could have been solved ahead of time if we didn't have a racist person working at the White House when Ho Chi Minh called, like he was told to, by Woodrow, who also himself was a fucking racist. But Ho Chi Minh modeled, the Vietnamese constitution largely off of ours. And, that White House aide was basically like, all right, Chinaman, bye. I don't understand what you're saying. Click, not verbatim. Essentially, that's what Ho Boy said.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And Ho was just like, well, I guess can't go that route, and it's not like he turned to communism. Hey, when you're over there struggling and big homie comes, need some help, you're gonna be like, yeah. And if we were there, that whole thing
would have never happened.
That whole thing with the French possibly could have been handled diplomatically to the point to where, again, this is where racism comes in. The little Vietnamese people, they're servants. They're not real people. Look how small and brown they are. And that was the sentiment of the time. Let's totally disregard, the thousands of years of history that those people had, and the innovations that they could.
My last 15 minutes of interaction with them is all that matters.
Yeah. We literally just exploded with all this brand new technology that we didn't allow anybody to get hold of. And before, when they reached that and the world wasn't connected, we just didn't know, and they were better than us, but we didn't know. And then now, we're better than you, and we've always been better than you. So I think China was a civilization before you. Pretty sure Carthage and all the, the first great one that everybody heralds as Egypt. But somehow, all right, you became number one on the world stage. Now it's your turn. It was everybody else's turn a long time ago.
Yep.
You know, it's just your turn, and it's, you know, unfortunately, you only had like a 3-year or 300, 400-year period where that was actually a thing, because now we're getting back to where, you know, we're working back to where color isn't really a big fucking problem, because, you know,
which historically
humans tend
we have
to
touched
like
on it. Yeah, historically
exotic
it hasn't
genitals.
been.
We do. You can't deny it. You know, I'm a straight rider. But, you know, humans like to fuck, and we're gonna do it. Look at the Spanish. That's how they screwed a lot of people out of, you know,
literally
them being them. They just were like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight you to death. I'm just gonna fuck you to death. Wait, hold on.
It's like,
what do you mean by this?
It's like the Futurama, Death by Snoo Snoo.
It's like, what? No, it's like, no. All right, we're going down. But, you know, that's why we need to move towards better education and, you know, honestly, like I said, mandatory military service. Everybody now gets to intermingle. You get to feel what the homeboy's background is, homegirl's background is.
Especially if you make it to where
you touch
you're
her
not.
When she doesn't ask for it, homeboy, you are going to get royally beat, because I do not want to have to go through extra steps or be completely denied because you have no fucking game whatsoever. I know ugly dudes who get laid. Learn how to play the game, or learn how to make money so you can just pay for it. Figure it out, homeboy, because just taking it hurts everybody on the planet.
We were having this conversation earlier. It would be like, I would love to be commissioned as a group that seeks out and tries to eradicate this problem. Because
of known ones, red-handed. You know, don't give them 2, 4, 6 year sentences.
6 months with time served.
How are you gonna give, you know, someone who got caught with like an ounce of weed or like a crack rock, or no, let me do more than that, like, you know, a couple grams of
something
of crack, not even enough to make an eighth. You're gonna lock that guy up for like 10 years. Or someone who, granted, yes, it is armed robbery, he should do time, but some of them dudes get like 10 years.
10, 15 years, and then
no gun involved, none of this, and then you get rapists, and they come out. Granted, I understand he's robbing, but like, you know, my dad's been to prison. I know many dudes who've been to prison. You put them motherfuckers to work. He was a the fuck is it called?
Fire.
He was a fire dude. You know, he worked, I forget what the fuck they're called, but he was a forest firefighter. That's what he did. You know, because, you know, his crimes were nothing. They were nothing. I don't even know what the fuck he went in for. Number 1, I was young. 2, don't give a shit. And 3, doesn't really matter. He was up there fighting the fires, which they discontinued.
Which is stupid.
Stupid, because that's where most of California's motherfucking firefighting manpower comes from, are those dudes. And a lot of them, guess what they do when they get out? Transition into that. It's dumb politicians who have, and I don't mean, and when I say dumb, they're dumb in the sense that they're so close-minded. They live, you know, they grew up in this elite culture. All you did was go to school.
Yep.
What the fuck does that tell me? That you've been to school, you've existed in one realm that itself is highly political, and there's nothing really learned. Anybody with any forward thinking gets shot down because it doesn't meet the status quo. Another, you know, wall we need to tear down, because I can't have that. I need innovation. I don't give a fuck that you're trying to protect your idea. Your idea was a stepping stone to the right idea. My idea, you know, metaphorically, is the right idea.
The royal eye.
Now, in a couple years, when, you know, better technology comes along, newer technology comes along, this savant comes along, oh, well, no, wait, that's not right. Something seems off about that. He looks into what I said. Well, he's kind of right. He has one prong on the million prongs that we need to get to the final answer. Life is incredibly complex.
Oh, and it's ever evolving.
A fucking God. You are not omnipotent. You are not omniscient. You're not God's gift to man. That's me. Not but that's why we need that. We need to get people more integrated so that we have a strong military. You need a strong military. I don't give a fuck what anybody
really,
says.
Integrating the people will do more than just create a strong military. It will create a strong country. It'll create a strong world.
And you need to pay
if you do it on a global scale, it would create a strong world because there would always be outliers. There would always be people who still don't feel that way. That's the way it's gonna be.
But a strong U.S. military means that my country's doing good, and if you're allied with my country, then you're doing good. If not, hey, fuck you. But the great thing is, all you gotta do is migrate here, and then, do good, and then go back to your country and try and make it a state of the United States, and eventually we'll make, the global empire of terror that's literally a loose collection of motherfuckers just
straight out of Fifth
essentially
Element.
Doing what
except for
you
Tiny
do.
Liston won't be president.
We're all cooperating. It's not, the United States rules all. No, we decided you were your own separate entity, just like California said to the United States, I'll join the rest of you people. And they were like, cool, bro. Just like Texas said, I started something and I need your help because I'm a fucking thief and I would appreciate your help.
After I just said, fuck you.
And then they got help. And, God, I hate Texas. Nah, I don't hate you guys, but you're pieces of shit. When I say that, I don't mean the people. I mean, your leadership. We're self-sufficient, so why do you get so much federal aid from everyone else? Shut the fuck up. You're full of shit. Your people are literally running out of power.
Yep.
And that's how bad Republican leadership is. And you want these people to run the country? Look at who they chose to be the president. Donald Trump. Look at who else you chose to be the president. Ronald Reagan.
Reagan
come on now.
God.
Reagan's a fucking idiot.
I mean, the fact that there was talk going around.
Well, he ended the Cold War. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. A little engagement called the Afghan War, and a little dude named, well, he's actually quite big. Wilson, Charlie Wilson. Yeah, that guy bankrupted the Soviet Union, and when he told the U.S. government, give me $2 billion more and I can buy these motherfuckers' loyalty. And what'd they say? Nah, it's cool, they're brown, we don't need to do that. Not to say, hey, just whatever color you are, that's what they're gonna say.
Yeah.
Or pick some fucking excuse.
Pick
it doesn't
something.
even have to be a good excuse. They're gonna do it, and look at how they treated the Germans. Look at how they treated the Poles when we weren't at war with them, and they were migrating into the United States. Dude, that's the way humans work. You don't
especially
now.
Over the last 500 years or so, 600 years?
Ooh, shit, I gotta get going.
Oh, shit, yeah.
All right, look, I got into this shit, but let's touch on Deshaun next week so we can see what happens.
I was going to read his apology.
But I want to start off new with that because I'm a rant.
Terrible. Yeah, so
I'm gonna rant.
He hasn't seen or heard the apology yet.
And I'm gonna stay
away from it. That way, his reaction will be.
You'll see it
on that moment.
Yeah.
We'll touch on Deshaun a little bit next week. Obviously, there'll be other shit that comes up and just kind of comes out of vomit of the mouth.
Yeah.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
Vomit of the ass. I mean, it'd be like that sometimes. Oh, I was sick at work and whoo! Thank God only one came out the rear, the rest was all barf. That sucked. But when I got home, man, it was like, when your stomach hurts and you're all like, oh, let me vent a little, but then you go to vent and then, the whole crew downstairs, don't do that. Don't don't do that. It ain't nothing solid. If you do it, I will paint everything behind us. You go to the toilet and you paint that bowl. And I barely made it, and let me tell you, man, I made white brown. That shit must have hurting. It was one of those add one, flush one. Oh, that goddamn I don't know what I ate, but I was sick as a dog. But I gotta get going because I'm gonna be super late. My wife's gonna be all like, what the fuck were you doing?
Man, he's gonna be in trouble.
Nah, she'd be like, you're a piece of shit. No, she won't.
Yes, you will.
I get back to my sleep. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.
Y'all. We'll catch you next week.
22 skidoo.